Welcome back. Today we are going to install everything that is needed to start coding. First we're going to want to download Visual Studio Code. You can find the link in the description below. Press download there. Next we're going to want to install MinGW. Find the link in the description below too. That takes about 5 seconds to download. And then the last thing we're going to want to get queued up is Windows Terminal. So open up Microsoft Store and then you can just type terminal and install that. I already own it, so it'll probably say get or install for you, and then once you get and install that, we can launch that later. So I'm gonna get Visual Studio going here, minimize all of this random BS in the background so you don't have to see that. We're going to blindly ignore that, and we're going to install from default, and everything else is default. Next, we're going to get MinGW installing, and leave everything as default except for this one. We want to select as for 64-bit, which is my architecture for my computer, and everything else is default. Leave that in the background. We'll finish this up and launch it. So from here we want to verify that everything works. First thing you're going to want to do though is make a new file, Control S, and then select where you want to save that. I always put mine in the same software folder for when I'm working on projects, just so it's easy and I can remember it. And keep in mind we're going to actually default our terminal to this file path, so it makes everything really easy for us. Anyways, I'm going to do hello world.cpp since this is a C++ file, and we're going to type here include IOStream. And I'm not super familiar with this editor quite yet, so I'm still working out the kinks, but I think it's probably the best one to have anyone learning on because it's pretty simple. Okay, so we have our hello world here, and now what we're going to do is verify that MinGW is complete. So finish that up, and we have to do one thing with MinGW. We have to do the environmental variables. So come in here and set your path environmental variable, and we're going to want to set that for, yep, there it is. So pretty much it's going to be your path for your MinGW. So if you follow along program files into MinGW, grab this POSIX path, then go into the folder MinGW again and grab the bin folder and paste it in here, and then we will have our environment variable set. Why does that matter? Well, when we open up command prompt here for the first time, we're going to want to verify that everything works. So to verify that, you're going to do g++ -- version and see that you get a version. If you get something where it says like cannot find or doesn't understand or something like that, it did not set the path correctly. So go back and verify that the path is set correctly for your install path. One thing we're going to want to do here that I already have set, but you're going to want to do is go into your settings and select default profile as command prompt. Otherwise, every time that you press the plus button, you're going to get the PowerShell. Another thing you're going to want to do is come down to command prompt and set your starting directory. Know how I said you want to save all your software in the same area? Well, this is why. So then you can do the directory set to that, and then every time you open up, you're already in that directory. So now if I see what folders are in there, we have our hello world.cpp folder in there. So now that this is all set up properly, we want to compile and run our software and see if we can output some hello world to the console. So first thing you're going to want to do is gpp-o. I'll explain some of this in a later video, but for now we're just verifying stuff. So I'm just going to kind of blast through it. You're going to do main.exe or any name if you really want, and hello world.cpp. So we have to tell it what file that we're going to compile and run. Now, if I look, we have a main.exe. So let's run that. And look, we have hello world. So if you did not get this to work as I showed you, please leave a comment in the description, or please leave a comment below so I can help you try to solve that problem, and so then we can get on to the next video where we'll start to actually do some more coding and learn more about C++. One last thing I want to kind of show you guys is some references that you can use if you get lost or you need help. C++.com is the best one for looking up syntax. So say I tell you to make a string and you don't really know how to make a string, and say I want you to output the size of a string. Well, here you can go and it actually shows you exactly how to do that. So we have our main, which kind of looks familiar, right? We have a string, which is test string, and then they want to output the size of it. So str, which is the variable name of that, dot size. So I'll explain a lot more of this later. This is just a really good resource if you get confused by me. I also really enjoy Bucky's C++ programming tutorials from the New Boston. They're a little bit outdated, but they were really, really good. So if I'm not quite doing it for you, I highly suggest you go to the New Boston's YouTube channel and take a look at that. Like I said, they're pretty outdated. I think it's on Windows 7, and he uses, I think, just like a basic text editor too. Another thing is Stack Overflow. This is a pretty reliable source. Just keep in mind that it is a user submission, so someone asks a question, someone responds. It's not always right, but if you look, a lot of them have like an answer checked up, and it works really well. Another thing is LeetCode. So LeetCode is a place where there's problems, and you can pretty much try to write code and solve the problems. They'll tell you if you're right or wrong. This is something that I would suggest once you get further along in basics, maybe trying out and testing some of your skills here at LeetCode. It's free, easy to use. And then the last thing is use Google. Google's great for a lot of things. You'll get used to what sites you like and don't like. I like Geeks for Geeks a lot of times, and you can just look up and find out how to write programs, and it explains a lot more on how, you know, the main function works and why you're doing certain things there. So, as always, I appreciate your guys' time. If you like the video, please leave a like. Comment below if you have any issues or comments that are relevant. And feel free to subscribe if you want a notification when the next video comes out. Sitting throwing rocks across the